Hello, everyone, and welcome again to another Teacher Joseph podcast. Well, it's very stormy outside today, so we're going to go through some terms which we use to describe the weather. Now, the weirdest thing about this list of nouns and adjectives about the weather is that in American English, some of these words are actually used as names. For example, it's very stormy here today. Many of you will know about Stormy Daniels, the actress who supposedly had an intimate moment with Donald Trump. Now, we don't know if that's true or not, but the name Stormy shows that it is quite not a common name, but that it is a name that they use in American English. By the way, I checked out Stormy Daniels on Wikipedia. That's not her real name, but Stormy is a fairly common name in America. There's a few people out there who are quite high profile with this name, so it is a name you can expect to hear. A few others, Dawn, well, that's very common in British English, Dawn, Dawn, that's a woman's name, and it means the rising of the sun. So when the sun is coming up, that's called dawn. Okay. Other names and descriptions of weather. Well, you know about rain, of course. That's the water falling from the sky. I can't imagine calling a child rain. And then you have sky. That's fairly common. I've heard that before, especially actors from the 60s. Peace and love and everything. Do you remember River Phoenix? I'm sure he had a brother or a family member by the name of Sky. I don't remember. Sunny, of course, that's when the sun is shining. Stormy, we spoke about. Windy. Oh no, I can't imagine calling a child windy. I'd expect them to be running to the bathroom every 2 minutes because, when we say someone has wind, it means that they have indigestion. Misty. Yeah, I can probably see that. Misty is a name. Yeah. I had a hamster pet once called Misty. Yeah, so it's quite common with pets here. I know of someone else who had a dog called Misty. Yeah, Misty. Tempest. Well, that means a violent storm, but I don't know why you would give that as a name to somebody. I'm not sure if all of you remember the Cosby Show. That was a comedy about a very entertaining black family. Well, one of the actors on the Cosby Show was Tempest Bledsoe. She was one of the children, as I remember. Maybe that name is quite common in Africa or in the African American community. I don't know. Blaze. I'm sure I've heard that name Blaze before from American movies, but again, here it's more common to call our pets Blaze. I've known a few dogs called Blaze, but a very common name in America. Dusk. Why would you call someone dusk? Dusk means twilight when the sun is going down. Doesn't sound like a good name, does it? Summer, which of course is the warmest season of the year. I've never heard that being used as a first name, but I've heard it being used as a surname. Summers is quite a common surname here, but in America it's a common first name. Winter, oh no, I don't know. I wouldn't call a child winter. Other common names: hail, that's the ice pellets from heaven. Uh, Rain, um, nimbus. Nimbus is a type of cloud or halo that appears in the sky. But I wouldn't even dream of giving a kid that name. Anyway, those are some common American names. The only one that really fits into British English for people is Dawn. That is very common. Dawn for a woman. And there is a man's name, Don, as well. That's short for Donald. Don. Yeah, so it's a little bit strange that. Let's move on to some idioms. Okay, so a good one is to weather the storm. That's when you go through a difficult situation. Okay, so for example, if I, let's say, I'm having problems with a student, okay, on italki. I can either get rid of her by deleting her and blocking her, okay, if she insults me, or I could just say, you know what, I really don't care. I'm going to weather the storm. She can say what she wants. I'll just force her to read in the classes. Yeah. Or another one might be if I'm having problems, let's say, with a neighbor. I can say, you know what, I'm just going to choose not to react. I'm going to ignore the person. I'm just going to weather the storm. It means I'm going to put up with it, put up with all of the things which are upsetting me in that situation until it passes. So I'm going to weather the storm. Okay, that's really common. I can't remember when I used that the last time. I think it was I was having problems with a family member. You know, here in the UK, we're not really very family orientated people anymore. So I think it was many years ago, I was having problems with an aunt. And I thought to myself, you know what? I'm just going to weather the storm and just not say anything about this. A storm in a teacup. Oh, that's a classic British idiom. A storm in a teacup is when you make a big situation out of nothing. Okay. A good example might be when one of the neighbors is very upset because a child has dropped something into the garden, or a neighbor might be very upset that perhaps they were watching two people fighting outside their house, something very minor, you know, or the woman on italki who hysterically tells me, "Oh my God, my English is terrible." It's never really that bad, and usually they calm down within a short period of time. So those things you can call them storms in teacups, but we always use it in the singular. It's just a storm in a teacup. Forget about it. Okay, it's very common that, especially amongst older people, if you're really upset about something, oh, I had a fight with my boyfriend, or oh, my girlfriend is leaving me, you can say, don't worry, it's probably just a storm in a teacup. By tonight, everything will be fine. Oh, here's one of my favorites: any port in a storm. Any port in a storm. And that means in an emergency, uh, go to the first place that can help. Now, that sounds quite serious, but we usually use it in a joke. For example, in relationships where you have a boyfriend and girlfriend who've split up, and let's say, for example, the woman immediately finds a new man the next day, friends might say, "Wow, you've moved on really quickly." And she might say, yeah, any port in a storm. It means in an emergency, you take the next best thing. Likewise, if um, you are uh, having relationship problems, and two boys are out, and one says to the other, "Oh, I like that woman in the corner sitting in the bar," and the other one says, "But that's not your type of lady at all. Usually, you go for other kinds of women." And the man says, "Yeah, but any port in a storm." The origin of this means if you're on a boat, of course, you will take the fast landing, the first place you can go if a storm comes. You don't stay in the water, you go to the first available port so you don't sink in the water. So that's where it comes from. Let's do one more. The calm before the storm. Yeah, that's when everything goes very well for you, but you know there's a storm brewing. So your boss is exceptionally nice, or your husband or wife is very nice, and you think, this doesn't feel natural somehow. You go home and there's a beautiful big dinner, and you think, what have I done? There's something coming here. You just know that an argument is brewing, or there's something behind the actions. You can say, oh, I think this is the calm before the storm. So there we are. Those are some weather idioms, particularly involving the word storm. All of the ones I've mentioned there are really, really common, okay? So you're going to hear those, unlike the names, which really aren't common in the UK, but apparently common in American English. There's just one other thing I want to tell you about the weather, and that's about sound. Because you'll notice when I say the word weather, the R at the end is silent. It sounds like A, weather, weather. The R is, well, it's almost gone. And not only there, but also in storm. Storm. You don't hear the R at all. Isn't it strange? Yeah, and that's the way it is in received pronunciation and in the London area. So I want you to take a moment and reflect how the letter R is in your language. Is it hard like an R, or is it soft like an R? Because in English, the hard letters historically were considered to be very rude. And that's why when Scottish people, for example, go to England and they talk about the weather, or Ireland, or storms, uh, it's considered a little bit impolite. Now, it's strange how English people react to that, because they react to uh, that accent in the same way as they would react to um, a non native speaker. Sorry, I don't understand what you mean. So it can cause offense. So I want you to think about how you say the letter R. In the beginning of words in English, like let's say rotate, you can hear the R. It's very clear there. But in the middle of words and at the end, it is really softened down. Let's just do a few more words. Clear, clear. And a Scottish person might say clear at the end. Another one might be recorder or painter. You can hear there that the letter R is really being replaced with an A. So when you're doing your shadowing or your speaking practice, I want you to begin to notice that, just how you're saying the letter R. And that's it from me. So I hope you've enjoyed this. And yeah, if you come across anybody called Wind, I'd love to hear about that. The same with Blaze. Though that's very common for a horse. I'm sure that's a horse's name, not a parson's. And enjoy your day. See you. Bye.